everyone is wondering, how the hell do I, one, prevent the cold or flu, or two, what do I do when I do have it to get rid of it as quickly as possible? Well, I'm here today to answer those questions. So when I was younger, I used to get the cold or flu all the time. Like, I have so many memories of just being really stuffy. I would be in the doctor all the time, getting every antibiotic under the sun, being off school all the time. I remember having pharyngitis, which was just horrendous. And now with what I know about how to support the body and the immune system, I understand why I was also always sick, because there were so many things that were going on in my body that just probably weren't functioning properly. I was probably nutrient deficient, and there's so many things that I've learned now that I know I could have done back then. However, here we are now, and now I'm going to help you hopefully prevent it or help to reduce the severity of a cold that you currently have now. I'm going to do this in two parts, so two videos. So the video I'm going to do today is about how to start supporting your immune system to prevent the cold or flu. The second part is going to be, okay, I've got the cold or flu, what am I going to do now? So first up, as I said, prevention. Firstly though, I do want to differentiate between a cold and flu. The cold and flu is not the same thing. So many people quite often say, oh, I've got the flu, when really they've only got the general cold. A general cold is the one that, still feels uncomfortable. You've got to take, a couple of days off work, a little bit of rest, that TLC to your body, and you can usually get over it by the end of the week. Whereas a flu is the fever, the chills, the joint pain, and in the immunocompromised can be the one that's a little bit more dangerous. On the very rare outcome, it can lead to death, but it's usually because that person is so immunocompromised for some other reason. That's kind of been that tipping point. So when I give you this advice though, it really is helping to support you to prevent both those things, because you've got to understand that when your immune system is functioning the way that it should, it's going to help stave off all sorts of infections. So, if I talk about certain nutrients and lifestyle changes and things like that, it's going to help to really support you in so many different ways. So first of all, when it comes to preventing, as I said, we have to support the immune system. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, there's nutrients. So there are specific nutrients that help to boost your immune cells. So you've got your white blood cells, which help to attack pathogens that come through. So you have, obviously everyone's heard of vitamin C, but to be honest with you, vitamin C is kind of at the back of my mind when I'm talking to people about really strengthening their immune system. Don't get me wrong, vitamin C is very important. It does boost your white blood cell count, but to be honest, we should not have a problem with vitamin C deficiency, because you should be eating enough fruit and vegetables. So just about every fresh fruit or vegetable in the plant kingdom, picked fresh, will contain some sort of amount of vitamin C. Of course, we know that citrus, strawberries, capsicum, and dark leafy greens are all good sources of vitamin C. So really, I look to food as medicine first. But the nutrient that really is one that it really bothers me that people don't understand is as important is actually zinc. So zinc is absolutely essential for your immune function. Not only that, it also helps with wound healing. It helps to support your gut health, and which we know gut health is important for your immune system. Zinc helps with your hair, your skin, your nails, helps with acne, your mental health. Like, it really is at the cornerstone of just about every process in the body. So when it comes to your immune system, if someone is presenting to me in a consult where they have a really low immune system, the first thing I'm reaching for is not vitamin C, it's actually zinc. Of course, vitamin C is going to be complementary to it, but zinc, I cannot stress that enough. In fact, I supplement with zinc every day. There are certain genetic predispositions that can actually lead you to not take on as much zinc. Also, stress depletes zinc. There's just so many things that you're doing throughout the day that keeps drawing on your zinc stores. So if you're under the weather, you're going to just be driving those zinc levels right down. So you need to keep that up. And the same with vitamin C again, but people just aren't aware of how important zinc is. So when it comes to supplementing with zinc, there are different forms. So don't just go out and get some old crappy zinc form, because it may not be as efficient in being used in the body. So there are a few different types of zinc that I recommend. So you can look at things such as zinc bisglycinate, zinc amino acid chelate, and then there's also another zinc called zinc picolinate. It's not very well accessible in Australia, but some practitioners can order it in for you. You may be able to order online from overseas. However, you don't really need to go down that path. You can just as well use the other forms that I just recommended to you. In terms of dosing, it certainly needs to come from a practitioner to work out how much zinc you need, because just like anything, too much of anything isn't a good thing. But conversely, if you're not getting enough, you may not be noticing the effects. So it's good to have someone who's going to assess that for you. I usually like to start off around 30 milligrams a day. Now, one really important tip when it comes to consuming zinc is make sure you've got a full stomach, because zinc is very well known to make you feel a bit of nausea or make you throw up. If this does happen, don't be alarmed, or don't think you're pregnant like I have before. And just quickly eat something. It usually fades away after 10 to 15 minutes. It has caused me to throw up before, and I've heard many people say that this has happened to them too. But the best thing you can do is actually have it at night. Two reasons. One, because you've had a lot of food in your stomach, and so you've got a much lower risk of the zinc hitting an empty stomach. Pardon me. But secondly, minerals are better absorbed at night as well. So they're two really good tips for when it comes to zinc. So like I said, 30 milligrams is a good start. However, zinc for some people may be so low that you might need double or triple that. But like I said, it's really important to do that with a practitioner, because there are so many other factors that are at play. There are also other nutrients that compete with zinc, and zinc competes with other things. So it's not just, this is why I always say don't self-prescribe. Of course, I always look to food as medicine. So if you're wanting to just try and do it all through food, well, that's the best way, of course. But you also need to reduce your stress so that you're not drawing on all the zinc that comes from your food. The best sources, first of all, are oysters. So oysters are I think they're the highest source in terms of how much you get for like bang for your buck in the serving size. So if you don't mind oysters, I would definitely recommend having a few of those. You could have a few a week. I mean, even if you're like me and my seafood loving family, I could easily have 10 in a week. The next one would be all your meats. Meat is the best source of zinc. Then you've got organ meats as well. If you can stomach it, they also provide some good zinc. I'm not really an organ meat person. I don't mind liver pate though. Then you have, when it comes to plant-based foods, it's quite low in plant-based foods, zinc is, unfortunately. You can certainly get minute amounts, but when we're talking therapeutically, it's just not going to be enough. But the one plant food that does have a bit of zinc in it is pumpkin seeds. So I always recommend people sprinkle pumpkin seeds on everything that they possibly can. It adds a bit of crunch, plus it's got the zinc. So if you're vegan or vegetarian, that's one thing that you can do, but I would definitely recommend supplementing if you are vegan or vegetarian, just to really up those levels as well. So that's zinc. I do actually have a really good blog on my website about zinc if you want to head over there and check it out, which is jbooker.com.au. So the next nutrient is vitamin D. So vitamin D, everyone relates with healthy bones because it increases calcium uptake. However, vitamin D is so much more than healthy bones, and vitamin D is highly linked with your immune system because it's actually immune modulator. So some people, you might only think that some people have a low immune system, but some people actually have an overactive immune system, and that's what can cause autoimmune conditions. So what happens is if you've got, the two extremes, what vitamin D does is actually modulate, so it brings it into the center where it needs to be. So vitamin D deficiency has been linked with all sorts of immune disorders. Vitamin D deficiency has actually been linked with a higher rate of asthma. But it's not just asthma. That's just an example of how it really works on the immune system. So I even heard some studies come out the other day regarding vitamin D deficiency, and I think it was psoriasis. So again, that didn't surprise me because I know of the way that it modulates the immune system. But the other thing you need to consider is quite often people will say, well, I had my vitamin D tested and it was fine. But in my books, often it's not fine. If your number is under 100 when you get your vitamin D tested in Australia, you're probably deficient. So the research actually shows that your vitamin D should be around 100 to 150. Whereas a lot of people are coming in and saying, oh, my vitamin D was 50 to 60, but really that's not optimal at all. So of course we know the best way to get vitamin D is from the sun. And do we get enough sunshine these days? Not at all. And the reason being is because, well, first of all, we don't go outside as much as we used to. But secondly, when we are inside, we're so covered up. We've got sunscreen on. And of course, these things we need to do to prevent skin cancer. But there's got to be that fine line between us still allowing some of that natural sunlight that we evolved to need to be able to create vitamin D. So in the winter, it's even harder because you need to be out in the sun longer. And in the summer, it's hard because it's so hot, you don't want to be outside. But you also need to have all your limbs and your belly, your face, everything needs to be exposed to be able to create vitamin D effectively. So a lot of people I hear, they'll be outside and they'll be covered head to toe, their face will be exposed, and they're like, oh great, getting my vitamin D today. And I'm like, oh well, unfortunately you're not. So when it comes to autumn, winter time, 100% supplement with vitamin D. You cannot cause harm by taking vitamin D, whether it just be a couple of thousand IU a day. You are actually going to be greatly supporting your immune system and actually supporting your hormones, obviously your bone health, and so many other functions in the body. Vitamin D deficiency is also attributed to excess weight gain or inability to lose weight. So there's another bonus when it comes to vitamin D. Sorry about my dog. Always videoing at home. So 2000 IU a day. Otherwise, if you are really immunocompromised, if you were in my clinic, I would be recommending anywhere up to 10,000 IU a day. It just depends where you're at, and it also depends what your blood test is showing. So those would be my key 2 nutrients that I look at when it comes to immune function. So zinc, vitamin D, and then of course, like I said, vitamin C is still important. Then of course, healthy eating in general is just so fundamental to supporting immune system. If you're having lots of sugar and processed carbohydrates and very little fresh produce, then you're no doubt going to have a majorly suffering immune system. So sugar is actually one of the worst things for your immune system, and particularly when you do have the cold and or flu. So that's something that you might need to consider reducing. But another really important component of your body itself when it comes to supporting your immune function is your gut health, because you should know by now, if you watch my videos, that the gut is it's so integral. They call it your second brain. They call it the major component of your immune function, because realistically in your gut is actually this colony of billions of bacteria that are doing all sorts of things. And so when you eat your food, when pathogens come into play, they're doing all sorts of things to help process that. So if your gut bugs are out of balance, or the good guys aren't strong enough, but you've got some bad guys in there, they're going to more so allow those pathogens and unwanted bacteria and viruses to be able to wreak havoc in the body. So it's really important that you address your gut. I've had gut issues for a very long time, and so that's something that I am very, very familiar with. And I have fructose malabsorption, so that's something I have to be careful with. I've had SIBO before, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which means that you've had IBS. I've had both IBS with diarrhea, IBS with constipation. I've had my appendix removed, which we now know greatly affects your gut health as well. So trust me, it's been all thrown at me when it comes to gut health. So I have to be so careful with what I eat so that I don't throw it out. And as soon as I throw my gut out, you can kiss goodbye my immune system. And so many things just start to go out of whack. And I know straight away, I'm like, Jade, you have stuffed up your gut today, or you haven't been eating properly, you know better. That would be another really important factor. So supporting your gut health. How do you support your gut health? Well, as I said, you've got to make sure that you're reducing sugar, because sugar feeds the bad bacteria, and when they overgrow, they'll keep knocking out the good guys. You need to eat lots of good prebiotic foods to feed the good guys. When I say good guys, that's your good bacteria. So prebiotic fibers include, to be honest, all your fruit and vegetables are some sort of prebiotic. But very specifically are things like onion, garlic, legumes, resistant starches. There are certain specific resistant starches and fibers that you can buy in powders, such as inulin and green banana powder. Oh gosh, there are so many different ones. I can't think off the top of my head at the moment. You can also find out a little bit more about that in my free ebook if you want to check it out. And then you've got probiotics. So probiotics, I more so only recommend short term unless there's a problem where you're impaired to support your gut health as well, such as not having an appendix. So I take probiotics more regularly. But when it comes to probiotics, a lot of people don't understand that they don't actually, when you take them, they don't just hang around in your body. They actually end up doing some work and then leaving. So they're never going to replace lost bacteria. They're only going to help with a problem that you've had and then leave. So what's more important is to feed the bugs you already have, as I was saying with the prebiotics. Then you've got leaky gut syndrome. So you need to be making sure that if you've got leaky gut, you really need to fix that up, because with leaky gut syndrome, you have basically a permeable gut lining where toxins and bacteria and undigested proteins can leak across the gut lining and into the body, and also cause havoc and cause inflammation, and it all starts to just play in with your immune system as well. So that's gut health. Then we have herbal medicines. Herbal medicines, of course, is a naturopath's favorite thing, and it's, as you know, me being a herbal tea maker, I absolutely love herbs. So when it comes to herbs for your immune system, there are herbs that are going to help prevent the cold and flu, and there's ones that are going to be used more acutely when you've got the cold and flu. So one that we hear about a lot is echinacea, of course, but echinacea is better when you've got the cold and flu, not so much beforehand. So the ones that I really focus on to help support your immune system beforehand are typically adaptogens. So adaptogenic herbs are herbs that help to support your body under stress, which therefore is going to support your immune system. So it's really important you do that, because I've talked about before with your nervous system. A lot of people are often sitting in the sympathetic nervous system, which is that fight or flight. You're in always that sympathetic mode. Whereas you want to be in the parasympathetic nervous system, which is more of what we call rest and digest. So, you're just that general functioning. You're sitting down and eating mindfully. You're doing mindful things, and you're not stressing your body out. When we're in the sympathetic nervous system all the time, things start to switch off. Our gut health starts to switch off. We get this negative feedback to what's called our HPA axis. So all these things start to go out of whack, and it's kind of like a machine breaking down and it's just not functioning anymore. Or it's kind of like when your computer is really clogged up and you haven't cleaned it out in ages and nothing's working properly, it's going really slow. You can still turn it on, but it doesn't quite work the way you want it to. So that's why stress reduction is also really important to support your immune system. So adaptogenic herbs include, our top herb would be withania. We talk about that one all the time. We've also got rhodiola, Siberian ginseng, and we've got our different medicinal mushrooms. So reishi mushroom, lion's mane, turkey tail. What else? We've got so many different mushrooms. You can actually buy mushroom complexes. They are fantastic for the immune system. There's a lot of research on those as well. So you can, if you can get them as food as medicine, awesome, but they're often quite expensive to get. Not only that, but they're hard to find. So I would recommend getting them in powders. I have reishi mushroom powder and I add it into my smoothies, particularly at this time of the year. So touch wood, which you can't see, I haven't had a cold yet this year, and I have been around every clogged up, coughing, splattering person in the sun lately, and I still haven't got a cold. Now, does that mean I obviously am a goddess at eliminating colds because of all these things that I do? Not necessarily, because obviously, I personally do believe the reason why I haven't been sick is because of all the things that I've been doing, but it doesn't mean that I can't get sick. However, when I do get sick, if I do get sick, I have no doubt that it will be a much reduced severity compared to what other people might experience if they're not doing all of these things. So when it comes to the herbs, like I said, I do take the reishi mushroom powder in my smoothie, and I'll also take things like withania in my herbal tea, Siberian ginseng, and other things that are just going to support my immune system, my nervous system in general, because as I said, reducing that stress is super, super important. So if you are really stressed lately, or you just feel really tired or wired, or you're not even getting enough sleep, then that's something that you can start also working on straight away, because sooner, it only takes a few nights of sleep deprivation for your immune system to just go all the way down here, and it's all over. So to recap, the things that we talked about today include key nutrients. So we've got zinc, vitamin D, and vitamin C. We have our gut health. We have stress reduction and mental health. And of course, we've got herbal medicines. So if you are wanting to access some of these products, then it's probably best that you do speak to a naturopath, or even a nutritionist is going to help you most of the way as well. And if not that, or if you don't have a naturopath, I do consult virtually. So one of the awesome things about my practice is that it's all online. So we can have a consult via phone or Zoom or Skype or whichever's going to suit you. I even do email consults if you're really time pressed, but you still need that extra advice that's just gonna get you over the line. And then I prescribe everything online, so you can get it sent straight to your door, all the prescriptions that you need. So it's really, really convenient and super easy. Of course, if you have any extra questions that you would like me to answer in part 2 of the immune function theories, I'll call it, you can comment below and let me know what you'd like to know about when it comes to actually treating your cold and flu when you've got it. Or if you've got any feedback regarding this video today, so I would certainly appreciate it, whether it's something that you really enjoyed or something that you would like answered that you feel like you didn't get in this video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It is a very new channel and I'm really excited to bring lots of new content for you guys. But the main thing that helps me stay motivated is actually seeing you guys interacting and seeing that you want this content. So make sure you subscribe. Please share it with anyone you think that would enjoy it. And also you can turn on notifications so that it tells you when a new video happens. So I hope that was very useful for you guys. Hopefully in the next week I'll have part 2 on how to treat a cold or flu naturally when it hits. Bye.